usually she says something like, this meeting is being recorded, but I didn't.
Set it on my end.
Oh, really? Okay, well, that's good.
I think it depends on the security that you set up on your device.
Oh, yeah, usually she says it on my end and it's like really loud, but maybe, I don't know. But welcome to Data Science 300. I'm Emily, and I'll be your guide, I guess. Sort of, kind of, yeah, walk you along here. So like I said, this recording will be available after class always. So if you miss class, then I expect you to have watched the video before, kind of getting in touch with me and asking me questions that have already been answered, that type of deal. I also, just so you know what to expect here, I will be writing notes. So I'm sharing my screen here on my fancy iPad. And I do print these to PDF and I post those after class as well. So in terms of like keeping up and writing, everything that I kind of say, I jot down, and everything that I expect you to know, I jot down. So that will all be in the notes. So I do post that, I post the video, and so you've got a lot of resources. Okay, in terms of, so if you have any questions, feel free to just throw them in the chat if that's easier. Sometimes there's something about my settings. I have a hard time hearing when someone goes off mute. I don't know what to do about that. I haven't seemed to figure it out. So yeah, and it startles me sometimes. Whoa, what's that? When someone talks, but that's okay. So whichever you prefer, but definitely ask questions as we go along, and that'll help everyone. Okay. So
Emily, you can mute and everyone since you are the host of this Zoom meeting.
Oh,
you have a control and
oh, and just keep everyone, I don't want to keep people quiet.
Okay.
Yeah, just shut everyone down.
Okay. Got you.
No, that's fine. But good. Okay, so I'm Emily. Just a little bit about me always kind of helps. I did my undergrad in math and I did my master's in statistics, both at UBCO in Kelowna. And then I went and I worked for a market research firm in Victoria for a bit. And then I started teaching, and then I've kind of been teaching ever since. So, oh, I guess I was a data analyst at one point. Anyways, most of it is teaching, but I do have experience from the field too, so that's good. But yeah, here we go. What else? What else could you want to know about me? I'm in Edmonton. Kind of a weird situation. I obviously love Kelowna. Who doesn't love Kelowna? But my husband, he's with the military, and so he's been posted to Edmonton. And so that's why when I'm teaching online, I'm here, but then when we're back to face-to-face, I commute to Kelowna. So, but yeah, what else? What else could you want to know? I'll show you our Moodle.
Edmonton.
You're from Edmonton. Hey, that's awesome.
I don't live in Edmonton. I live in Victoria, but I am from Edmonton.
Having lived in both places, they're both pretty awesome. So a little bit milder.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to both of them, and it depends on what you're looking for. Yeah.
It's easy to live in Edmonton, though. I'll say that. Mm-hmm. You can like zip around the city, no problem.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah. But BC is definitely like a little bit prettier, I
Mhm,
think. But
mhm. I agree.
Cool. Yeah. I love kind of hearing little tidbits. I think it really makes it more fun. But so anyway, so I want to show you our Moodle page. You've probably already been there, but I just want to show you the lay of the land, what's going on, what to expect. We haven't started, so there's nothing really there. But I did lay it out. So let's see if it's following along here. Okay. So at the top, I've just put my information. So it's got my my email address. I also like to give out my cell phone number. I know that's kind of weird, but it is an iPhone. So if you're iMessaging, then that'll work from anywhere, obviously. I like it because if you have a question, then sitting down to type out an email and say, oh, hi, Emily, how are you doing today? Blah, blah, blah. It just gets really boggy. And so I prefer a text because then you can say, just be quick about it and say, hey, Emily, I'm working on this problem, and maybe send me a picture if that's, you know, relevant. Often it's some coding problem that you have that you're working on. It's like, I just can't get it to work. So then if you send me a quick picture, then usually I can kind of look at it and find what might be the problem, right? And then if it turns out that it's a bigger problem, then of course we can hop on Zoom and we can talk about it that way. So I'm always open to questions. I want you to ask the questions as they come up. I am an adult. I can decide when it's appropriate to reply to a text or an email and when it's not. So I would prefer that you just send me these questions when it's usually late, right? When we're working on this stuff, it's usually late. It's close to the due date. Usually I'm just, you guys aren't like that. You guys are getting good night's sleeps, right? No, probably not. It's usually late at night and you've got this question, and even if I don't get to it until the morning, because I'm old, so I go to bed kind of early, but sometimes not. But yeah, so if you get it out there to me, usually what's happened is by the morning I have a follow-up text saying, oh, never mind, I got it. It's like, oh, okay, great. So usually just putting it out there helps. And so I like it for that. If that's not something that you want to do, then that is totally fine. You can email me. They both go to my phone, so doesn't matter to me. But I just like to give you that option. I would prefer it if you don't call me, because I won't pick up. It's weird. I don't talk on the phone. I don't like it. It's like to make appointments. I'd like to take my car in for service. That's all I use it for. All right, so because I'm available all the time, and then in the past I've set up office hours, and then I just sit here and waste my time, and I don't really get anything done in that time, and I just sit here for an hour and a half. Instead of doing that, I'm just always available to you. So if you, like I said, if you have a question, then just let me know. And if it's a big question, then usually we'll just meet here in this room. So I just keep this room for our classes. I do use the same room for all my classes. So if I have another class, they might be in here. But maybe I'll post my schedule so you know when my other classes are. But usually it's not a problem. You can come to my other classes too. How fun is that? Although I feel like you've already taken Stat 230, maybe not Stat 240. No thanks. But yeah, so I use the same room. I just find it's a lot easier. So then we can just set up a time, meet here, and easy peasy. Okay, I posted a couple of things here. The main thing that I posted, of course, the Zoom classroom link, but you're all here, so you found it. Congratulations. I also posted the link to the lecture videos on YouTube. There's nothing there yet because we haven't had a lecture, but this is where I'll post them. So I've got my, we'll go there. Here's our playlist that I made. How can you go to, oh yeah, make sure you hit like, subscribe. No, you don't have to like anything. It's okay. But, and you don't even have to subscribe. Although I think, oh, I can't subscribe. Oh, and I'm not signed in. This morning when I checked, I had 99 subscribers. So you could be the 100th subscriber. So that's something. I know, hurry up and get it. For having posted my lecture videos on YouTube for like 3 years already, it's not a lot of subscribers. It's not going to make me YouTube famous. But I wonder if I can go to, oh yeah, so here's all my playlists. The one that I kind of wanted to point you to, though outdated probably, I do have a Stat Labs playlist. It's just 6 labs, and they're just very introductory labs.
So I've got my brand new.
I'm talking over myself. So anyways, so there's how to set up R and R Studio is one of them. Lab 0, getting kind of set up if you're not set up already. Although I do want to make sure that we're organized for that today. So we'll go through that. But anyways, those might be fun. And I can post that old lab manual. It needs a refresher because things have changed since, I don't know when I posted this, 2018. Yikes. Yeah, things have changed. But anyways, so there's all my old lectures. Feel free or don't, doesn't matter. I also posted the R for Data Science textbook. No, this is an open textbook, so it's free and you can download it. It's a really good resource, and I will be referring to it a little bit. It's not our main textbook, but we will be kind of using it. So I will do kind of quick run throughs. I think next week we're going to work through, I don't have a pointer on this section of the, like when I'm on a web page, I don't have a pointer, so talk you through it. We'll work through the explore section. So there's the table of contents followed by explore. So next week we'll work through the explore section along with chapter 2 of our actual textbook, because they kind of work together that way. So, you probably know that there's another section. So Joe is teaching the other section of this course, and we're probably going to do things a little bit differently. We're teaching the same materials, we're working towards the same goals, but in terms of kind of, I like to guide you a little bit more than I think Joe does, kind of work through it with you a little bit more. And that can feel kind of hand-holdy. If that's not something that you like, then tough noogies. You can switch to Joe's class if you want a little bit, yeah, if you don't like hand-holdy, then you can switch to Joe's class, and I'm sure he will let you sink or swim, which is also good. And you have to know yourself. You have to know your learning type, right? The reason I do it this way is because I'm not the sink or swim type. I can't just be handed a textbook and just read it and understand it. That's not how I work. So that's not how I like to teach either. But different things work for different folks. So yeah, so that's just a heads up. we are working through the same material and we are working on the same assignments and the same everything. So don't feel cheated or anything. It's just a different style. Okay, so for reference, they call this textbook R4DS. So sometimes I'll mention R4DS, and this is the section that I mean then. Okay. So, like I said, today we're just doing introductions. We're going to make sure that we're all set up with R. I know from the orientation, you were told, oh yeah, and have R installed and have R Studio installed. And that's so easy. Not always, right? And so I just want to make sure that we're all set up and just kind of walk through the course outline and take our time. Okay, so what I've done for this week and for next week, but only so far, because I'm still ironing out a few things that I want to do, but I've posted, so Wednesday, we're going to do introductions in our setup. Friday, so on Friday, we'll do chapter 1. Chapter 1 is really kind of fluffy. There's a lot of fun examples in there, but there's not a lot of information. So that should be good for our 50-minute class. Next week, we're going to work through chapter 2 of our textbook, and then we're going to spend that Friday, which isn't a long class. I really don't like those 50-minute blobs. It's like, oh, and then we just meet for 50 minutes. I get nothing done in 50 minutes, but I'm going to try. So that's when we'll work through the explore, so the actual applied part of chapter 2. Okay. So this is, of course, where I'll post the notes that I'm writing. Well, I haven't written anything yet, but here we go. Yee. Oh yeah, I only have one package of stickers. So there's not a lot to choose from here. So I chose the star. Anyways. Okay, so
Sorry, quick question about the textbook.
Sure.
So there was the business analytics one. We're not using that.
We are using that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a free R one, and then we are going to work through. So our main textbook is Business Analytics by Cam. I'll take you to it. Let's see here. How can I? Well, it should look like, should look like this. So we are using this one. It's the 4th edition, and I was looking. Oh, well, so there is an assignment. I'll walk you through it. It's just a quick making sure that you're set up with R and R Studio, and it's due at midnight tonight. But we'll get there. Yeah, but otherwise. Scary. Don't worry, it's not bad. It's not bad. I will count it as an assignment though, so it's kind of like a fake assignment. So it's good.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry. It's very rare that I do anything that mean. Yeah. So this is the actual textbook that we'll be following for the most part. And then we're going to grab kind of the R instructions, the more detailed R instructions from that free one. Okay, so I was looking at, well, I guess I'll put my name here. Oh, how many E's is that? It's insane, right? I know, the things you do for love. It used to be Emily Gustafson, so I don't know what's worse. Gustafson? Lee's easy to say, at least. Emily Lee. Oh yeah, how can we get this book? So I looked up a few ways. So there's the textbook that I'll be following very closely is Business Analytics. Fourth edition, and I think it's by Cam et al, let's say. And so you can buy it through the OC bookstore, but I checked, and so the ebook is $76.95. I think not terrible, right? So that's probably the one I would go for, right? And then, but I was looking at the bookstore hard copy is a crazy $209.29. But on Amazon, it's $134. So not sure what happened there, but I didn't check too thoroughly, but I'm assuming the Amazon one is a hard copy. And so if you're into hard copy versions of the textbook, then probably Amazon's the way to go. Hate to be pro Amazon, right? When we've got a local bookstore. But in this case, I don't know. But I would probably go for this one, right? Just the ebook. In fact, I'm using the ebook. Yeah, kind of expensive books, but I'm gonna say this one. And I think the link to the bookstore was shared yesterday, but if you just Google Okanagan College bookstore, then it'll take you there. So if you have a hard time, I was going to show you, but I think if you have a hard time finding it, then just let me know afterwards, and I'll show you around. Okay, but I would probably get the ebook. But okay. Yeah, that was like a big thing I wanted to share. Kind of poke around. Maybe you can to the bookstore. Sure. So if you go, okay, I will show you. So if you go here, Okanagan College bookstore. Kind of a roundabout clicky way here, but once you get to this page here, and this is probably the link, I'll take you right to it, and then I'll share that link. How about fall 2021? Confusingly, it is under math. I don't make this up, so whatever, but that is confusing. And data science 300, go. Okay. It starts with that crazy expensive one, but then notice how there's another kind of drop down option. And so that's where you would buy the ebook. Okay. And I think, oh, there's no picture, but I'll share this link here. How can I share it? Okay, I'm going to try something. Can I? Share it. I know everyone hates on Macs, but I'm on an Apple setup and it works fine. And I love it. So hopefully that link worked. Okay. All right. And if it didn't, let me know. Okay. So let's see here. Let's go through the course outlines, kind of basic stuff. But it's nice to know kind of the layout and just to walk through it. And all that fun stuff. So again, anytime, as long as you kind of let me know. Of course, I'm human. I'm not chained to this desk, although it feels like it sometimes. But sometimes I'm not home, so you have to give me a little bit of heads up. But often I am home, and it's easy to meet. Okay, so I will put that my cell here. 250-864-8386.
Did you say that you're going to post this on Moodle?
Yep, I do. Otherwise, I was always the student who was like trying to write down everything frantically. And so I don't want you guys to feel that way. And if there's something that I didn't write down, then it's probably not important, or you can let me know and I'll write it down. Or I just got lazy and I didn't want to write it down. That happens too. Okay, so anytime, maybe what I'll do is I'll say by appointment. Not really, just let me know. Text or email to set up a time. Usually it's immediate. Okay, so let's see here. Well, class times, you guys made it here, so you figured that out. So good work. I'll skip that part. Our Friday classes, like I said, are a little bit shorter. It's really kind of a bummer. I don't like them either. No one likes those. It's not like I wanted those, but whatever. Okay, so you've read the calendar description, you've made it into the course, so presumably you have all these prereqs and coreqs. For the transfer information, there is the link to the transfer guide here. I don't anticipate anyone transferring, but anyways, if you need help with that, then let me know, but usually it's not a thing. So here is our textbook, which I'll throw in here. And I'll say optional is R for data science. Posted on Moodle. And I have really, really bad handwriting. I'm sorry. I've practiced. It didn't work out. So if I do write something and it doesn't make sense or you can't read it, let me know and I'll fix it. I will not be upset. I'll just be upset about it later. No. No. And sometimes I just skip words. So then you really have to like figure out what I meant, what word was missing there. Sometimes it's important and that's bad. But anyways, I try. We're all just human. Okay, so I posted that one on Moodle, but this is the one that you have to buy. Well, you don't have to buy it. I strongly encourage you to buy it. because like I said, I will be following it very closely. I have not taught this course before. So usually when I first teach a course, I follow the textbook pretty much exactly. I don't have any creative things to add yet. And so that's kind of a bummer for you guys, because I'm not like pulling in all this random stuff. But it also makes it really safe for you guys. If you study the textbook, then that's where I'm grabbing stuff from. So so that's kind of nice, I think. There's no kind of out of left field things happening. So so I will be following it very closely, and we will be doing chapters 1 through 8, definitely, and hopefully 9 as well. Okay, and I think that's in here. Let me just see here. Oh, it comes up later, so I'll save that for when we talk about it here. Okay. In terms of the course evaluation, this is what you all want to know, I think. No, you want to know data science. That's for later. Okay. Quite a spread of grades, right? And so when I look at this, it means that there are a lot of low stakes things that you'll be handing in, except for the final project, which is a full 30% of your grade. But if you kind of flip it and say, well, that of course means that 70% has already been handed in, then you feel pretty comfortable at that point, right? And so I look at this and I see a lot of low stakes things, but it will keep you busy, right? And so, but nothing is going to be make or break it, right? Even the final project, it should be pretty reasonable as long as you're working on all the things. So before we talk about kind of all the things, if you miss assignments or quizzes, or basically any due dates, then I don't want to say that you get 0, right? But I don't want you to get freaked out and try to make it up, right? What I would prefer is that you focus on what's coming up in the future. So what I would prefer is that, well, I'll answer your question in a sec here, Karen, but what I would prefer is that we talk about it and we come up with a plan, and because it all depends on your situation and just kind of what's reasonable, and you know, did you miss it because you just forgot? That happens. I forget due dates all the time. Anyways, like I said, we're all human. And so I don't want you to feel like, oh yeah, I can just skip due dates. No, due dates are really important, especially if we're heading into business. But I also understand that this is not a job, this is school. And so I want to be a little bit more flexible than if it was a job, but it is still a job. So I want you to treat it like a job. I know that's confusing, but hopefully you kind of understand what I mean. Like, it is important, but it is also school. So it's a learning thing, right? So if you miss an assignment or a quiz or whatever, then you'll have to talk to me, and that sounds scary. And then we'll come up with a plan. And depending on what it is, I might just say, you know what, forget about that. Let's move on. Right? And it totally depends on the situation. So that's why I'm being vague. But anyways, so yeah. The question was, how many classes are mandatory to attend? I don't really care. You're all adults, and you all have lives. And that is why I post the notes and I post the videos. So if you feel like you can handle this course without coming to class, then you don't have to be here. That's not really my style. If you feel like you can handle the material on your own, then that's fine. That's fine by me. You do not need to let me know if you can't make it to class, although it's really cute when people do, but it really doesn't matter. I'll be here anyways. So I've taught to one person in the past. There were only 7 people in the class, but come on. It's like one-on-one. But yeah, so that's why I post the videos. I do expect you to obviously stay on top of the material. So I'm putting a lot of it on you. But yeah, so no classes are mandatory to attend, I guess is the answer. It's on you. Okay, so we're gonna do assignments. Of course, assignments are for each chapter. I would say that since we're doing chapters 1 through 8 and maybe 9, hopefully 9. I've planned for chapter 9, but the best laid plans, right? So we'll see if we get there. But so I would say that there are about 8 assignments, right? Roughly 8 or 9, but probably 8. Even if we get through chapter 9, it'll be the end of the term. So then probably won't have an assignment. Then you'll be working on your final project anyways. So I would say probably 8. There are 4 quizzes. Okay, so here, maybe I should I'll do it like this instead. Times 8 times 4. That makes more sense. There will be mini presentations. These are not as scary. Well, maybe. They're not going to be as bad as what they sound like. What they're going to be is you're going to make a video presenting your findings, and then you share the video with me, and then I watch your video. So it's not in front of the class. It's not even in front of me. You don't have to be there when I watch it, right? And so for me, that's the scary part. Isn't that so funny? Because I don't mind teaching, but as soon as I'm presenting something that I've made of my own, I can't do it. Isn't that so weird? But anyways, so so here's where I'm still working out the details. I'm thinking 2 mini presentations, okay, throughout the term. Willing to commit to that. 5% each sounds pretty reasonable, right? And so those mini presentations are really just you make a video presenting your findings as if it was to your boss, right? The final project, there's only one, and then the presentation is, again, I haven't decided. I might just do a video presentation for that as well, because then you'll be used to doing the video presentations. And then you can do a bunch of takes. Scary. Yikes. Because, yeah, the videos, I've made videos for other classes before, right? And just posted the videos and people watch the videos. You can drive yourself nuts doing different takes. So I have a one take mantra. I just hit record and then that's it. If I muck it up, so be it. But anyways, you can do crazy amounts of takes. But anyways, so the mini presentations and the project presentation, I want them to be video The mini presentations will be video for sure, but the project presentation, Joe and I are still ironing out the details. And so I'm gonna have to do what we decide on as a group. So we'll see. Okay. Okay, 4 quizzes, which once I have the dates, I'll post them immediately. You'll be all prepared, but it won't be until probably after chapter 3, because we don't really cover a lot of things until chapter 2, chapter 3. So it'll be a little while, but I'll have those dates for you by next week. Okay. And then the final project and the presentation is going to be due during the final exam period. You'll notice there is no final exam because this is an applied course. It doesn't really make sense to have you sit down and write a bunch of theory. It's going to be more of a presentation style and a final project, right? Write a report, show your findings, present your findings, that kind of thing. Okay. So for the learning outcomes, this is basically what to aim for that final project, right? Try to touch on all of these points. Now, these are not going to make sense now. And so I kind of blow through them on the first day of classes. And then towards the end of the term, I like to go back and walk through these. And then it's a really good summary of what we've decided is important to take out of this course, right? So the learning outcomes, I'll parking lot those and bring them up closer to the end of the term. And I think it's a really nice exercise in kind of bolstering our, oh yeah, we did learn that, and we did learn that, and we do know that. So we'll parking lot it. Okay. Let's bring in like I said, we'll cover chapters 1 through 9. Hopefully. It's more wishful thinking, right? I'm trying. The assignments are going to be they're not always weekly, right? Depending on what kind of material we cover. It might not be weekly, but I always like to give a week for you to do them, right? And so you'll have lots of time to do these assignments. So from the time that we finish the material that's on an assignment, I'll give you a week following, right? And so from the time that I hand it out, you'll have a week. And so you shouldn't feel that thrown off by it. But 1 for each chapter, typically. Okay. Oh yeah, so the assignments are, instead of midterm exams or tests, kind of where you sit down and write them, there's still a lot of work, but they're more applied work, right? And so we're going to be using R and RStudio and other software, kind of keeping it open. I know someone was asking about Python, and it's kind of beyond the scope of this course, but kind of the other software could be anything. I'm not going to introduce a new language, but once you know R, the programming language R, you can kind of handle anything that's thrown your way. So that's good, right? And so sometimes what I'll do, my main programming language is R. So I'm not well versed in SAS or None of them are coming to me. I've never used Python, if you can believe that. Just use R. It is totally fine. I've survived, although it is on my list of things to learn, right? Because why not? But I've looked at it and it looks reasonable. So learning R, you'll have a really solid base. There was something I wanted to, oh yeah. Has anyone used R before? That's what I wanted to know. Nope, I don't expect you to have. But if you have, now's your chance to show off in the chat. Nope, that's okay. Yeah, never heard of it. That's all right. I don't expect you to have used it. We're gonna kind of start from the bottom. One thing that I will say, oh, okay, well, here's another question for you. Have you done any programming? C++, Java? Again, if you have, now's the time to show off in the chat. No. Quite all right. HTML, good, okay, cool. All right, this is good because then I'll have a better idea of where we're at. So I'm not just kind of throwing things at you, because that can happen, right? But okay, so then I really want to focus on building our basic R skills, okay? What I usually say when I teach R is for the first half of the term, that's a long time, it's gonna not make any sense at all, okay? You just need to keep at it, okay? It's gonna be like, so now I do this, I guess, because she's told me to do that, and then you just keep with it. Okay, so do not expect anything to make sense for the first half of the term, probably. Okay, but I need you to stay with me and keep at it, and it will work out. Okay, so, okay, that's good. Then I can do my usual kind of like, don't worry, it's hard. It is hard, okay? But it is really fun once you get the hang of it. Okay? And I have testimonials because I have students who have emailed me after a course and said, you know what, Emily, I hated R when we first started using it, but now it's really fun. So there's that to look forward to, I guess. But anyways, so we are going to use R, and you'll use it throughout the program. So why not? Why not learn it here? All right. Makes me want to rethink the first assignment. So, okay. But that's good. It's good. The mini presentations, I think we all understand why we're doing those mini presentations. It's to help you build communication skills and just kind of shake off those jitters and just become more comfortable with presenting your findings. Right, it's kind of a downside of being an analyst is that you have to present your findings. What you need to remember, though, is the people that you're presenting your findings to don't know how to do what you're doing, typically. I mean, I do, you're presenting to me, but in the real world, they don't know what you're talking about. So, so you need to really kind of, the only term I can think of is dumb it down. It's not the word I'm looking for, is it? Simplify. You need to simplify things. Right? And I always find that that's a really good way to learn in general, right? If you take a difficult concept and you're able to simplify it for someone else, then you understand that concept, right? If you find that you're having to use kind of technical terms and you're having to overcomplicate things, you probably don't understand it quite yet, right? And I know that's counterintuitive to how we usually think about things, right? Oh, they sound so smart because they're using all these technical terms. Maybe they are, but they shouldn't have to use those technical terms, right? So, because in the end, a data scientist is really just presenting information that they've found, right? It's not harder than that. There's a lot to it, but it's not harder than that, right? You're just presenting information that you have collected, right? Okay. The 4 quizzes, right? This is shared with Joe. So this includes material that may not have been covered in detail during lectures. Not so much for me. That can happen if there's something really obvious in the textbook, but then I probably talked about it too. So it's pretty safe. And the final project is going to be a culmination. So just everything that we've learned all term presented, and it's going to be instead of a final exam. So it is in the final exam period. You'll have, the final exam period to do it because you'll be busy with other final exams too. So that'll be kind of a time management issue as well, right? But we can do it. Okay. Let's see, what else is on here? A lot of these don't, so the department policies as a whole, they stand, but all written assignments are due at the start of class. No, they're not, because we're online and you're submitting online. I like to make mine due at midnight, right? And so if I were to hand something out today, then it would be due next, what is it, Wednesday or Thursday? Wednesday at midnight, right? So I just always go for a midnight due date. It's just how I do it. And so this is all kind of in-person stuff, so you can ignore that. The math department as a whole, we've decided we do not give makeup exams. And that's what I was talking about before too, is so if you had to miss it, then talk to me and we can figure out a plan, and we'll kind of take it as it comes, right? We already talked about this. That's not true. I expect you to follow all the classes. You don't have to come to all the classes, but I expect you to watch all the videos. You could do it in double time. I know students always tell, they're like, oh, I just watched it in double time. And I don't know how, but they do it. Maybe I just talk really slow. I feel like I talk fast, but maybe I just talk slow. Well, one thing that I will say is I hope I talk slow, because a lot of people are ESL here, right? I'm ESL. I came here when I was, well, we've stayed in Canada since I was 12. So kind of, but I get it when people talk fast.
Where are you from?
Oh, funny you should ask. I'm from Sweden. So I'm Swedish, but been here a long time. But I am ESL, so I hope I talk slow, but if I ever talk too fast, let me know. But yeah, everyone just watches it in double time. Oh yeah, so I have to read I get derailed sometimes. Oh yeah, this is kind of a weird one. We talked about if you want a harder fist to rule you, you can switch to Joe's class, but you have to do it before the final ad drop date. I don't know. These are just department rules. One thing that I will say, of course, we don't have a final exam, but we do have a final project. You have to get at least 45% on that final project. It's never been a problem for other courses in the past. It's basically like saying you have to pass the final, but not really to pass the course. It's a pretty reasonable expectation, right? That you can kind of come up with 45% of the entire course. And so it's never a problem. I usually have people freaking out, texting me before the final or the final project, in this case, I guess, saying, what's this about 45%? Don't worry, it's not gonna apply, okay? You're allowed a non-programmable, non-graphing scientific calculator, which I find really funny because we are then going to use like the ultimate super calculator R. So just ignore that. And of course, you don't need a formula sheet. There is no formula sheet. There are no formulas really that you'll need. And so everything that we do are just concepts, right? And applied concepts. Just so you know that they're on here, there is the list of important dates here. Okay. Of course, September 6th, we hadn't started yet. Orientation day, done. Classes begin, here we are. Last day to register is next Friday, blah, blah, blah. Our new holiday, September 30th, right? October 11th is Thanksgiving, so that's a holiday. And we have Monday classes, I think. But yeah, so all these, the most important date that I would say is I always want you to pay attention to the last day to withdraw without academic penalty. I don't say that to be mean or anything. It's just, I've had cases in the past where people knew by that time that they weren't going to do well. We all have hard terms, right? And so there will be people in this class that just have things come up and it's just going to be a bad term, and that's fine. That happens. It happens every term. And it just really sucks when it's you, right? Personally, but I understand that happens. And so one thing I want you to pay attention to is October 29th. By that time, you should have a pretty good idea of if you're going to be able to pass or fail this course, right? Might be hard to fail it at that point, but anyways, then it's not a problem. But at this point, I encourage you to make a strategic decision, okay? A withdrawal does not count towards your GPA, right? It's just a W versus an F would bring down your GPA, right? And that's bad. Okay, so if at that point you're thinking, I cannot do this, I cannot handle this, that is totally fine, okay? And strategically, it's better to withdraw, okay? And that happens, there's always someone that has a bad term, often multiple people. And I'm sorry if it turns out that it's you, okay? Okay, last day of classes, December 6th. So you can start crossing out your calendars now. Okay, September 8th, flip December 6th. And then our final exam period ends December 18th. Okay, I think the rest of the course outline is just general information. So I'm just gonna, it's in here. So I'm not gonna talk about it too much, but we do have success centers. They always change their name. Sometimes it's the Learning Center, sometimes it's the Success Center. It's basically free tutoring, Okay, and what I'll do is there is no data science tutor, but at least for the beginning of the course, there are statistics tutors, and they might be able to help you with some of those general concepts, but otherwise you're stuck with me, okay? So I might have someone come in and kind of share with you your options for this free tutoring, right? That's available on campus, but also online, right? And so you can check out the link here, and I'll see if I can, they might not even want to come in because they don't have anyone to do data science yet. But if you do really well, you could be the tutor. Make some monies. Hey, that's pretty good. Final exam policy. Basically, you can't change your final exam date. It doesn't matter. But for other courses where you do have a final exam, it's really hard to change that date once it's set. So, but we don't. We have a project. We're fine. Okay. Academic integrity is, of course, really important. It might be bad, but all I'm saying is don't cheat. Okay. We have a pretty good understanding of what cheating is and what isn't. And sometimes even I find, well, is this like, am I plagiarizing this, or am I okay here? If you find yourself in that situation, come talk, like ask me, right? And I would prefer that than for you to kind of live on the edge. And sometimes it is, I find that it can be really kind of a gray area, right? And so, yeah, if something like that comes up, where you're basically using someone else's ideas as your own, that's bad, right? If you acknowledge that they're not your own, well, that's fine. Confusing, right? So I always struggle with, okay, well, I learned it from a textbook. So now is it mine, or yes, then it's yours. Very confusing, right? So if you struggle with that, then just let me know. And that can be for any course. I really, I find that a lot of people can be really harsh with this kind of stuff. And I am too. I think it's really important that we all have academic integrity, because otherwise, why are we doing all this? But I do also acknowledge that it can be really hard to figure out what's okay and what's not, right? So talk to me if you have any problems. But general conduct, right? Be nice to each other. Be nice to me, preferably, right? And it's not, it's not hard. So, oh, I'm just gonna mute you here. Oh, maybe not. There we go. Right, so just be nice to everyone. And then accessibility services, right? Really good resource. If you do find that you need extra resources for class or anything like that, then talk to me and I'll try to get you in touch with them. Or maybe you're already working with accessibility services, and that's great. Also, counseling services. There is free counseling, and you wouldn't know it, right? But it's a really good resource again. So there are a lot of free things that are available to you that are not, class related, but really useful. Okay. So good. I really blabbed out the clock here. I was gonna post, I was gonna give you time to download R&R Studio, and maybe you already have, or maybe you haven't. Maybe it gave you grief. Maybe it was hard to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that assignment Dropbox. I'm going to move it to Friday. But all I want you to do is, and I'll write it down here. What did I call it? Day 1 markdown test or something? It's going to be day 2 now. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is download R. Okay. And as a general kind of overview, I did give, so in my YouTube playlist, it is really old, but Lab 0 shows you how to download R and install RStudio. Okay, so download RStudio. And these are all in Lab 0 on YouTube if you're having a hard time. Now, it is really old, so things might have changed slightly, but the general idea is there. You have to do it in this order. So R is like the brain, and then RStudio is how we access it, because it's kind of hard to use just as is. You can, but it's hard. And then create a new markdown file. Okay. And upload the HTML, because it'll generate in HTML. And upload to Moodle Dropbox. Okay, so I'm gonna share on my screen, because I will post these notes after, right? So I just want to take my last couple of minutes here and show you what I want you to do, right? Once you have R and RStudio, and then once I've shown you, then you're free to go, or you can stick around if you want me to help you install R and RStudio. Okay, so let me stop sharing this screen. Okay, got it. I don't know. Wow. And how about here? How do I share this? Oh. Okay. How do I share screen? This one. Okay, so I was playing around with it earlier, and it looks like I need to update my version. Mine's from 2019. Yikes. Dark and Stormy Night. Usually they have like cute names, Pumpkin Patch, that kind of thing. So what I want you to do is, are you guys able to see my, now I can't see the chat. You guys can see my pointer, right? Anyways, hopefully. Okay, good. Because it was a bunch of no's on the screen, but those were old. Okay, so you're gonna hit new, and there's a bunch of different options, a bunch of different document options. But what we're gonna work in is called R Markdown. Okay, Markdown in itself is another language, but it's meant to be really easy to use. And so that's what we're going to use for the most part. Okay, so there's R Markdown. Okay. And here you're going to build a document. So just default settings here to HTML, but you could do PDF, but I'll expand on that later because it requires some version of LaTeX. All these programming languages, Yikes. Right, but here I'm going to rename it. I'll call it Markdown Test. Sure. And then I'm going to hit OK. Looks weird. Don't be scared. We're gonna work through this, okay? But for now, this is all I want you to do, is just build a Markdown test with your name, the date, and just keep everything else the same. Okay? What you want to do is you want to save this because it's called Untitled 1, typically. So if you save it, oh, there, we'll call it, I feel like I made another folder, but it hasn't updated yet. Markdown test. It's really important that you don't have any spaces. I think it can handle underscores, but usually I just use camel type, right, where you capitalize the first letter and you squish it all together. Okay. And so now if I call it Markdown test and I save it, right, you could call it whatever you want. But now, if you hit knit, it knits this document together, right? And it's going to produce an HTML file because that's what we asked it to do. So if you hit knit, there's a drop down. So you can see it's processing down here. There's a drop down, but if you just hit it, it'll just knit to HTML. And ta-da! Okay, here it produced this default document, and this is the document that I want you to hand in, and it'll be located wherever you saved that file. Okay, so that's all I want you to do, but I'll extend the date because we didn't really get enough time to do that. All right, but I'll show you. Do I have it? So here, remember, I had the Markdown test. Oh, I think it's only sharing my RStudio screen. Okay, I give up. There. How about that? Where's the chat? Make sure I stay on top of things. Okay, that was a lot of me blabbing, but hopefully we're ready for next day. Just as a heads up, I will be covering chapter 1 of that business analytics textbook if you want to read ahead. Otherwise, I'm just going to give you the most important parts of it anyways on Friday. So there's that. But yeah, so if you want some help installing R and RStudio, you can stick around. Otherwise, I look forward to this term, and I'll see you on Friday.
I already have RStudio installed, but
Nice.
You said there's some kind of deliverable today?
I'm going to move it. I thought we'd have more time, so I'll move it till Friday. But it's
Okay.
open. If you wanted to submit that Markdown, the HTML default file.
What concepts from chapter 1 ought we to focus on if we're going to read ahead?
Chapter 1 is basically just giving you an overview of kind of what's to come, different types of analytics. So we'll talk about that. Just kind of the most basic is descriptive. It's also the most common. So we'll focus on that in this course.
On descriptive?
Descriptive, yeah.
Okay.
What I found most useful in chapter 1 were the little examples of how data science was used. So there weren't really any concepts in chapter 1 to kind of grill you on. But it's just kind of a soft introduction to what we're about to be doing. So I think there was, there was one example of how stores would analyze the video of how customers came in and how they kind of navigated the store. And then they would use that information. So that's just kind of a fun example. So chapter 1 is just full of like kind of fun examples. Nothing crazy important. Can I say that? Or
Well, that's
it's
good.
just chapter 1.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. It's good to know the level of engagement
Yeah.
you should have with the material.
Yeah. No, so chapter 1 is really just to get you enthusiastic about the material.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as concepts go, I'd focus more on chapter 2, where it kind of does a review of statistics, kind of basic statistics, but we'll do that next week, chapter 2. So all in good time.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. I'll stop the recording. What am I doing? Just blabbing. Sorry about that. Let's see here. Stop.